Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our final virtual meeting of the school year. Today, we're not only celebrating our first graduating class, but we're also sharing valuable insights for our soon-to-be graduates as they prepare to enter the workforce. But before we dive in, good afternoon, everyone. I'm seeing folks in the comments. Before we dive in, we're going to take a moment to honor our spring 2025 graduates with a special video before we get to our guest speakers that we have for today. So good afternoon, everyone. Give me a moment while I share my screen. Okay. And here we go. Enjoy. I hope you all enjoyed that video. And congratulations to all those graduating seniors. It's so wonderful to see your growth and transition from your pictures from your freshman year to your senior year. So congratulations. We have two great speakers coming up. We have Mark Costa and Ashley Christopher. But first up, I'd like to introduce Mark Costa. He's the chairman and CEO of Eastman, and he's also the FOSSI Advisory Board Chair. Both of these people are key into making FOSSI a reality. So let's go ahead and welcome Mr. Mark Costa. And Mark, take it away.
Adrian, thank you so much, and good afternoon to everyone around this virtual call, and welcome to the Future STEM Scholars Initiative. This is a great celebration today. It's an honor to be here, and an incredibly important milestone for FOSSI and for each of you, more importantly, which is the graduation of our first class of FOSSI scholarships. Eastman has been a huge sponsor of this program. We've supported over 40 FOSSI scholars so far, 10 of which are students here who are inaugurating their step forward into the working world. And I can't tell you how incredibly proud we are of the progress that everyone's made. I've had the pleasure of meeting a number of you over the past few years, and it's just great to see the excitement, not only of the journey you have in school, but all the excitement you've had from the internships that many of you have been able to do with different companies like Eastman, where you get to work with the real world, not just the academic theory, and see how practice turns into real life outcomes. And I think that's been an excellent part of this overall program. It's an excellent program that's been put together, and I'd like to recognize the people who founded it back in 2021, the American Chemistry Council, the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, the Chemours Company, and the HBCU Week Foundation. All of you had this vision about what we could do in FOSSI and made it real, and enabled a focus on STEM, which is incredibly important for the future of America as a company, as a world and leader in innovation in everything that we do, especially in the chemical industry. So it's exciting to see this opportunity and see people develop these STEM opportunities and skills, and look forward to how to apply them. I'd also like to thank all of our sponsors and our partners through this. The vision got brought to life because a number of companies stepped up to support this. And it's incredibly exciting to see that we're close to our goal of 1,000 scholarships. So far we're at about 850 scholars, which is over $40 million of investment in these scholars and their futures and their ability to bring their skills to the workforce. For the students, what I'd say is it's an incredible celebration for all of you. You've put in a huge amount of hard work, years of hard work, and problem solving and perseverance and learning. And now you've gained a lot of knowledge through your college experience. And it's the opportunity now to sort of jump into the real world with the rest of us, which is a pretty dynamic place these days, and figure out how to apply your skills and your experiences. And I really hope that you find that the STEM experience you have will really be a huge advantage. And I do believe STEM scholarships, STEM, backgrounds are by far the best skill set anyone can have in the working world. It, really allows you to, as I said, solve problems, have structured thinking, and take a systematic approach, which is often the essential aspect of succeeding in business. And it also, of course, have to put in the commercial pitch, which is, I hope many of you, if not all, are considering a career in the chemical industry. It's a pretty exciting place to work. I'm sure you know the statistic, but 94% of everything in the world has chemistry in it. So when you get involved in the chemical industry, you are becoming an essential part of everyday life. And what's exciting about our industry is it continues to get better. We're smarter, we're faster, we certainly are more technology driven. And every day, what we invent and what we deliver to the marketplace has a huge impact on the quality of human life. And it also is an important source of jobs. We have about 550,000 American skilled jobs that come from our industry. And what's exciting now is not only do you get an opportunity to sort of work in a chemical company and deliver a product, but innovate new products that actually improve the quality of life and the environment. How do we provide better access to clean water? How do we lightweight vehicles reduce emissions? How do we take advanced technologies to take plastic out of the environment and turn it back into product instead of throwing it all away? And there's all kinds of disciplines all of you are pursuing, which is incredibly exciting. There's no one size fits all. There's, opportunities to be chemical engineers or electrical or mechanical engineers, or play a role in information and data technology. STEM helps you do all these different fields, which is why it's such an incredibly valuable skill set to have in your life. And as you think about this and you evolve into what you're trying to do, especially in the chemical industry, I might pitch again, I would encourage you to be very open-minded to what opportunities come your way. One of the challenges that I run into a lot of people who are emerging in their careers is they want the perfect job or the perfect career path. They've got it all mapped out. Sadly, I hate to break it to you, but that's just not the way the real world works. Opportunities, part of, half of success in life is luck and the right opportunity, and you jump on it and take that risk. And so I encourage you to be open-minded about the opportunities that are in front of you and take risk. And, when you show up, if you focus on doing the best job you can and delivering great, performance, other great opportunities will come along on that life journey. I certainly can tell you, I started out as wanting to be a medical student, and my whole life, I wanted to be a doctor, and, life turned against me with my family. Family lost everything. I had to go to work and ended up going into business side of things. Never imagined that would be my path. And I did business, and then I ended up in chemicals. And I can guarantee you, I didn't think I'd end up there. If you asked me back when I was leaving college, and it's been the best experience I've ever had in my life. So you never know how opportunity is going to come up and the opportunities that you can pursue. So I really recommend being open-minded and just be excited and engage whatever opportunity you get. So as you move into this chapter, I just want to say congratulations to each of you. We're honored to have a small role in supporting you on your life journey. And hopefully we look forward to see many of you working in our industry and creating all these great innovations. So thank you again and congratulations.
Thank you so much, Mark. Those were very inspiring and encouraging words. And I hope all of the scholars out there, seniors and underclassmen, are listening and taking notes. Next up, we have Ashley Christopher. Not only is she a Howard University graduate, but she's also the founder and CEO of the HBCU Week Foundation. Ashley, we're so excited to hear from you. Take it away.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's so exciting to be here and to see the official first graduating class. I mean, I've just been sitting here in awe from the top of the program. Just to give you a little bit of background, this idea started back in 2019 when I approached the Chemours company in Wilmington, Delaware. Mark Vergnano was the current president and CEO. And I had just started HBCU Week Foundation a few years prior to that. And I had approached them about a scholarship opportunity, which they immediately, by way of Mark Vergnano, Alvinia Scarborough, and Susan Kelleher, I had to shout them out by name because they're like family now. But they embraced the idea and immediately stepped in to support 7 students with a $40,000 scholarship. This is when it was called the Future of Chemistry Scholarship. And then Mark Vergnano went to the American Chemistry Council and said, hey guys, this is what we're doing at the Chemours Company. And within a few weeks' time, he came back to me and said, hey, Ashley, we got a $40 million commitment from the American Chemistry Council and the American Institute of Chemical Engineers to ensure that 1,000 students get this $40,000 scholarship opportunity. And since then, it's been just a dream come true to witness the success, to witness all of the opportunities and the access that our students have the opportunity to embrace. I tell people all the time, an HBCU education is top tier. It is not a second-rate opportunity. And we're starting to see that more and more as time goes on. These institutions are graduating the best and the brightest year over year, can compete with anyone from any institution. And I just love to see the opportunities and the light that's being shined down on our HBCU. So congratulations to all of the scholars. I am thrilled to see what you guys are going to be doing next. Special thanks to the American Chemistry Council, to the American Institute of Chemical Engineers for leaning in to embrace this opportunity without hesitation. This is the only scholarship of its kind. Full stop. Nobody else is doing this. Nobody is giving away $40,000 awards, multiple year over year to support students that are attending HBCUs. So this is history in the making. Consider all of yourselves to be blessed, to be lucky, to have this opportunity. Take full advantage of all of the resources at your fingertips, the internships, the mentors, the year-round programming. Post-graduation job placement should be the goal. And I cannot wait to see what happens as these scholars continue to graduate and as they embrace, or you all embrace, the next part of your journey. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my experience at Howard University and what it has done to me and for me. I'm particularly excited for the graduates because even outside of the educational experience that you have received and the knowledge that you've acquired at your HBCU, you're prepared for something very unique. You had the opportunity for a 4-year period to look to your left and to your right and to finally not be the minority. You have formed relationships that will last a lifetime. You now have access to a Rolodex of people that will go on to be pilots and senators and surgeons and lawyers and judges. You started out at your Howard University, your Prairie View, your North Carolina A&T as students and scholars, and you will look up one day and acknowledge all of the work and the effort and the experience that you had, and now have the opportunity to show up as you shine in your individual careers. HBCU Week Foundation happened because of my experience at Howard. While I was on campus, I had the privilege to serve as Howard University Homecoming Vice Chair. And if anybody's ever experienced it, I know my Howard students on the call have, but it is a once in a lifetime, crazy, exciting experience. Not once in a lifetime because we go back every year. But it is unique in that it's an experience where you're surrounded by tens of thousands of people, all in community for the same thing. But running Howard Homecoming gave me the backdrop for large-scale event planning. So that's how HBCU Week Foundation was born. We do all the fun and exciting events like concerts, comedy shows, panel discussions, Battle of the Bands, block parties, all those fun things. But our cornerstone event is the college fair because that's where students can compete for on-the-spot acceptances and scholarship awards. And since 2017, we've been able to offer more than 10,000 acceptances on the spot at our fair, and we've raised and awarded more than $100 million in scholarships. And that's largely in part to our partnership with the American Chemistry Council. It stands for a $40 million commitment to support these students. So thank you guys so much for leaning into this opportunity and making sure that you take advantage of everything at your fingertips. And thanks again to all of the sponsors and the partners who made sure that this would not just be a dream, but a reality. Again, I'm so excited to be here with you during your journey, and I look forward to seeing all of your names in lights in the future.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I know our HBCU scholars are inspired by your story and your words and just all the encouragement that both you and Mark have been able to offer in these few moments right before we get on to our main event of the day. We're about to get our panel discussion started. And I'd like to welcome Mr. Prince Gammage. He is our moderator. He is an engineer development lead at LyondellBasell, and he's going to be our moderator for the Caps Off Game On panel, where he and our esteemed panelists will discuss preparing for interviews, negotiating job offers, and navigating the first 90 days on the job. So Prince, I'm so glad to have you here. And I am excited to pass the mic to you, and so you can introduce the panel and drop all the gems that our scholars are eager to hear. So Prince, take it away.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And thank you also to Mark and Ashley. The only slight that I give to Ashley is she wasn't from FAM, but I can't hold that against her. But you still did a great job, Ashley. There you go. But yes, good afternoon, team. My name is Prince Gammage. I have the pleasure of just introducing some wonderful people behind me. So we're going to kick it off for sake of time. So I've been in the industry since January 2007. Prior to that, I've interned at Kennedy Space Center because I was a NASA scholar at FAMU. NASA paid for all of my education. And then for grad school, I became a gym fellow. And so Ford Motor Company paid for all my education in grad school. And then from there, I worked at BP in Texas City, Texas. And then I moved on to LyondellBasell Industries in 2013. So I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from FAMU and a master's from mechanical engineering as well from Florida State, and material science focusing on superplasticity. Some personal facts about myself and my hobbies. I have two wonderful kids. My firstborn is my sword, my daughter Bria, and my secondborn, my shield, is my son Princeton. I've been married for 10 years. We recently hit 10 years last year. There's some things about me. I'm all about reading, not the mental candy, not into like the Twilight books and stuff like that. Personal development books, continually sharpen yourself. In 1 year, in addition to reading the Bible from cover to cover, I read 27 personal development books. Last year, I completed reading the Bible from cover to cover for the sixth time. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I really enjoy movies. I have a theater room. I have 11 speakers, 7 on the floor, 4 in the air, and then 2 subwoofers, 4K projector, all of that. So that's how I have my downtime. And if I'm not doing recreation, I train. So I do a lot of running and triathlon training. I completed my 8th marathon last March. March 1st. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a ultra marathon. I did a half Ironman, and then next month I have a half Ironman on April 6th, and then I have a full Ironman on April 26th. So I'm a little bit busy right now, counting carbs and getting my workouts in. My favorite quote that I like is, "Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better." Stop focusing on the excuses, focus on your capabilities and competencies. And that's by professional speaker Jim Rohn. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. I will pass it on to a lovely young lady by the name of Jakell Wilson.
I think you should have went last, Prince, with all of your accomplishments and Ironman competitions. I am not that, but kudos to you for all of that. And thanks for calling me a young lady, because I'm far past that. But I am the University Relations Manager at the Lubrizol Corporation. Thanks, Mark, for all those plugs for the chemical industry, because that's what I recruit: chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, biomedical engineers, and more. I also wanted to be a doctor, and I shifted to recruiting, management, talent acquisition, because I love to talk. And so now I get paid for that. But I did finish it through and got my biology degree, and continued on with the MBA. I do enjoy volunteering, mentoring students, not just for work, but outside, those in my community. I love watching football, especially my sons or my brother. He did play college football and a little bit of NFL. So we live through our kids now to hopefully they'll make it a little bit further. But really just spending that quality time with my friends and family. That's what energizes me. That's what keeps me going. And my book clubs. Don't ask me what we're reading. It's usually about romance and triangles, but it's all about the meeting up, the brunches, and the community that it brings. As I mentioned, I love mentoring and volunteering. So that's what my quote is about. Really giving back, it does enrich my life. So my quote is, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. So I try to instill that in my family and friends. We volunteer on the weekends, and every month we try to give back in some kind of way.
Thank you so much. That was excellent, Jakell. Excellent. All right, we have another young lady on the call. Taesia, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Now I have to follow y'all up. I mean, come on here. So Taesia Ashworth, I'm the Global Talent Acquisition Inclusion Program Manager. So pretty much, in a nutshell, I'm responsible for the early career strategies on a global scale for Dow. I've been with Dow now, it'll be 10 years in August, and 19 years on the HR and sales track. So I thought that I was going to school to be a fashion buyer. And so I love that Mark talked about it. Jakell talked about wanting to be a doctor. You could have never told me I was going to be at a chemical plant because, I mean, that's just not what I thought I was going to be doing. But I will tell you, since I've gotten in this industry, I absolutely love it. As you can see, my background was in retail. So I've got a lot of retail management, but I was able to use a lot of my transferable skills to transfer those into HR and into now talent acquisition where I am. So you'll see from Northwestern State, I received my Bachelor's of Science in Fashion Merchandising. Back then, it used to be Family and Consumer Sciences. And then I received my MBA from the Southern University here in Baton Rouge. And then I'm also still working on my DBA right now to better myself. I have my soulmate. I'm married to Jerry. We live here in Baton Rouge, but on the smaller, on the West Baton Rouge side, so on the more rural side, closer to our plant, where we got 3 kids. Our little girl is 9, and we have a set of twin boys who are 3 years old. So you can imagine how crazy my house is right now. But on top of all those things, I love to volunteer as well. So I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Still very active there, as well as the Junior League of Baton Rouge. So I do a lot of volunteering there and bring my kids where I can. And then, of course, love traveling. I still love to shop because I still have a
Thank you.
passion for
Grab that.
clothes.
I
And
appreciate
then,
it.
of course, you know, my quote is, you know, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, by Maya Angelou. And I always think about that, and I always want to make sure that I'm leaving a lasting impression on folks. Hence why I love being in HR. So there you go, Prince.
That was fantastic, Taesia, and that quote was
Thank
fire.
you.
So I believe the 3 of us are going to make it a little challenging for this next young man, but he's pretty rigid, and I think he'll hold his own. So our next speaker, young man by the name of Jason. Mr. Jason, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. First, congrats to all the graduates from my side, and I guess I'm running anchor leg here. So, Jason McAlpine, and I've been in the industry now 20 years. Before you try to calculate how old I am, I started while I was still in university. Just to be clear here, on those years, and worked for BASF and also for Monsanto. But now it's part of Bayer. I did my undergrad degree. That's a mistake. It is not in mechanical engineering. I actually did it in computer science and minored in math at Fayetteville State University in North Carolina. And then I did my MBA at Washington University in St. Louis. My personal hobbies, I love to travel. I think that if you can take me to Hong Kong, if you can take me to Barcelona, this is great. I think it's very important. We're going to talk a lot about career. One thing, never forget about your family. That's the most important thing, your safety and your family. And so I enjoy once a year at least traveling on a cruise with my family. For all the reasons you can think. It's great family time. And then when they get on your nerves, everybody can go their own way. So I really enjoy this. Just a couple of things about myself. Some of you will get it. My favorite year is 1906, just for those of you that picked that up. It should be all of your favorite year, but I'll let that be what it is. In terms of a quote, you know, when I was in high school, there was a guy, Brandon Busby, and I think he was number 3 in our class. And he said to me, you know, I didn't graduate number 3, but he told me the only difference between you and I is how we apply ourselves. And then he said, let me tell you about this quote, and I think everybody knows, but Aristotle, when he said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. I lived my life like that afterwards. And I said, okay, then I can be anything if I choose to be. So I believe in living life to its fullest, and I'm looking forward to this discussion with you guys today. So thank you. That's what happens when you run anchor leg. Yeah?
You kill it. That's great. Outstanding, sir. Outstanding. So, team, we are excited about getting real, and we know that y'all want to jump into this discussion. And so we will kick it off with Jakell. She will help us on common interview questions. Jakell, are you there?
I
I see
am.
you.
I'm here. Are we
Oh,
sticking with the track theme that I'm gonna pop off if you're the anchor, Jason? I'm the 4x4. Yeah. All right.
so don't go too deep on me because I was a nerd growing up. I was in a band. I didn't do sports, so
Well,
y'all work with me
my
on that.
sons are athletes. I did not run track, so there's that. All right. So, as I mentioned, we have a lot of good content for you, some great skills and tips, and we wanted to kind of do in order how you experience it in the recruiting process. And the first part is with interviewing. Hopefully, a lot of you have gotten some experience already. We're right off of that career fair spring season, so this should be right on time with what's happening in your world. So I only have 3 slides to go over. There's so many tips that you can gain, not just from the people here on the call, but through LinkedIn, through Google, your friends, your instructors, the Career Center. Take advantage of that Career Center. But I wanted to pull up high level, the top 3 things that you can focus on and you can plug and play throughout your interviewing process. So here are some common interviewing questions that get the best of us hung up, from whether you're entry level all the way to executive level. It's the tell me about yourself. What's your biggest weakness? How do you handle stress? What they have in common, they're all open-ended questions, but there's specific things that an employer is trying to pull from you by just letting you talk. You let someone talk long enough, they'll tell on themselves, and hopefully you'll tell on yourself in a great way. So they may seem tricky, but it's really your time to shine, as some of my colleagues say. And get comfortable with talking about yourself in a positive way, because if you can't do it, others can't do it for you. So tell me about yourself. It's your time to highlight who you are, what you've accomplished, aligning your skills to the role that you are applying for. And believe it or not, even if you don't have industry experience, you worked at a Chick-fil-A, you were a lifeguard, those skill sets are still relevant. You still had operational things that you had to follow. You had to collaborate with others. There's still customer service. You had to think fast. There's still some safety aspects to all of those things, especially if you're coming into the chemical industry. We're always big on safety. That's our number one thing. So being able to pull that, what you've learned in the classroom, through your projects, through your capstones, into what you're applying for now. And then the next one, what's your biggest weakness? They're looking for that self-awareness. How do you learn from difficult situations? Our CEO says you're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but make them fast. So learn from them and move on. And the last one is, how do you handle stress? They're trying to understand how you problem solve. How do you collaborate with others? Do you isolate, pull away from other people, try to figure it out on your own? That's not how we do it in industry. You have so many resources. There's a department for a department and a report for a report. And that means because we're using our teams, we're using our resources. So if you run into an issue, if you're stressed, if you have a weakness, show them, yes, I know what my weakness is. This is what I've done to correct it. And this is what I'm continuing to work on. So we can go to the next slide. And as we go to the next slide, Prince, kind of want to get a show of hands or jump into the chat. How many of you have heard the STAR method? We're going to go over some effective strategies to plug and play while you're interviewing. So if you raise your hand, put a heart or a thumbs down if you don't like it. But I live by the STAR method. With Taesia probably can attest to this. If she said on any interviewing teams, we grade by the STAR method when you're interviewing as well. But other ways to look at effective strategies outside of the STAR method. So just like we're doing a lot of sports analogies, or we're doing some, if you're in the lab or if you played an instrument, you do a lot of practicing. And practicing helps you get comfortable with what you're going to do for the presentation, for the game day, for the main event. And interviewing is no different. You have to practice, you have to do your research, you have to get that background information. And again, practicing talking about yourself. So you'll do the research not only in your company, but on yourself. When you're in the weeds, a lot of you I follow on LinkedIn, and you accomplish so many things. But when it comes to an interview, you forget everything about yourself. So start writing down everything that you've done, especially as you're wrapping up your year. your 4 years, or that capstone, your project work. So it's easy to recall and plug and play that STAR method when it comes to those questions. Practice in or take advantage of those mock interviews, practice with your roommate. Don't have the best relationship with your roommate? Find a TA, find a professor, find one of your mentors through FOSSI to practice with. Use, again, examples from your projects, your lab work, the capstones, those competitions, those internships, and part-time jobs. The STAR method is simple to plug and play for every question that you get. Provide the situation, the task, the action that you took. I know we like to talk about how we work in a group, but I want to know how you stepped up and took action, and then those results. And provide those results, whether good or bad. Good, if they were good, provide that grade. What place did you get in that competition? What feedback you received. If it's bad, still provide that feedback. Hey, we didn't win. We didn't even place. Or we got a C. We needed to redo it. What kind of feedback did you get from your professor? And then how did you reset or level set for the next year? You can go to the next slide, the last slide I have. All right, so now it's time to finalize that interview. And most interviews, and hopefully the interviews that you have, they'll open it up to allow you to ask questions. This is your time, believe it or not, to interview them, not in a way that you think, though. You want to find out how will this role work for you? How will you be trained? Will you get a mentor? Will you get a partner? What's the culture like? What's the environment like? So ask those thoughtful questions. What's expected of me? What's my 30-day plan? And we'll talk about all of those things later. But you want to really understand if it's going to work for you. Another way you can really leave a lasting impact is summarizing yourself and your accomplishments, and how you'll bring your best foot forward in that interview, and not just for the interview, but when you start your job. And then send a thank you email. You don't realize how this is kind of like a lost art, but bring it back into now, into your generation. If you don't have all of the interviewers' email addresses, send it to the recruiter and ask them to forward it over to you. You don't realize how much that is appreciated and how much it helps you stand out. And I always talk about it. Utilize LinkedIn to connect even if you don't get the job, they may reach back out to you again. And it maintains that lasting relationship. And it also allows you to research the company and the employees that work there. See how happy they are. See what they're doing. Are they involved in the community? And then follow up in a timely manner. If they gave you a timeline and you haven't heard anything, in a respectful way, follow back up on that timeline to make sure you're not forgotten. I'm in HR, I'm in talent acquisition. We love to say that we don't forget about people, but we have requisitions that get up to 300 applicants. So you want to make sure that you're not lost in the sauce and you stand out. So I hope that was helpful. Now we're going to move on. Prince, I think we have some more tips to the next steps.
Yes, ma'am, but I want to just hold it for 2 points here. First point, what Jakell is talking about is not theoretical. And what I mean is there's a book called Quick and Easy Way to Effective Speaking by Dale Carnegie. One of the tools he advises in that book, and they have a program if you want to attend the workshop, is by doing a mock interview, you're turning your response to conversational. And the power in that is I'm conversing with Jakell, and imagine I have my interview steps. As I'm speaking to her, she's like, well, you're kind of vague here. What do you mean by this? How did you work on this task? What exactly did you do? And now I'm not realizing I'm actually exercising my response. So when I do get in front of Jason or get in front of Taesia, I have more clarity. I'm not stumbling over, well, how do I piece this story together? So the mock interviews does work. You do not need to do it all formal. Just you're having lunch with a friend, you're having breakfast with a colleague. Tell them about the task that you worked on, and then that will translate to give you more confidence and boldness when you have your session. The follow-up to that is there are several people on this call, myself included, that you will have to pull out of your survivor remorse. Maybe I'm the first person in my family to go to college. Maybe I'm the first person to get a white collar job. So I've been conditioned not to speak of my accomplishments. So now I'm in a setting that I'm supposed to, but my whole life it's like people around me was like, well, why are you trying to act like you're better than us? So, get some mentoring and coaching to pull you out of that negative displacement. Because in corporate America, we want to know, as an individual contributor, what are you specifically doing to add value to this team? You can't get lost in the crowd. So any of my panelists want to add to that before we move to the next segment or speak on a different point?
Love that. It's your time to shine.
Okay, well, we're going to move forward. So team, great job. You know, you impressed the interviewing board. So now they've extended an offer to you. What do I do now, Prince? There's so many offers. I'm just that good. I'm moving from one state to the other. How do I balance this? Well, I have a lovely young lady who can help you with that by the name of Miss Taesia. So Miss Taesia, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Prince. And so I don't have any slides. I'm just going to talk to you because I feel like I got to be your auntie. I'm going to let you know exactly how it is and what you should do. But Prince, I want to touch on a point, that last point that you made. You know, as African Americans in our families, you know, we've got that, yes, you think you're better than me, but then we also may get, if we're the first of in our families, oh, you're getting that good job, right? You're getting that good plant job, or you're getting that good government job, or pick your favorite. And so that puts us in a mindset of, we don't want to mess up, right? We don't want to lose the offer that we received. We don't want to lose this opportunity, because again, this could present, you know, financial freedom for our families. And so I really want us to also think through, though, that we're the prize in that point. You have won this opportunity. You're the prize, right? So now the ball is in your court, okay? Now you have the opportunity to make some suggestions to them, because now they've chose you. But I also want you to understand that salary isn't everything. You know, yes, we want the dollars. However, it isn't everything. And so there's some things I want you to think about. So you went through the interview, you prepared for that interview, but do you actually know what you're going to be responsible to do? What is that, your actual job role and responsibilities? I think that's number one. Understand what's those expectations for you, and what are your growth opportunities within that piece, right? As you've received that job offer. Then you want to look at your compensation and benefits. Know that you can negotiate, but I'll touch on that negotiation later. But I think you need to do your research on industry standards. Glassdoor is a great outlet to use. It's got some good market data within that space. And now you can use AI as well to kind of help you find some of those other companies that are very comparable and what they're paying in that aspect. You may also want to look at work-life balance. Does this make sense for me? Now, you all may be in a day and age where you're maybe not taking care of what I would consider little people, or you're not taking care of a parent. Maybe you are taking care of someone, so you're someone's caregiver. Maybe you like to volunteer like we do. You've got other social aspects that you're in and you want to do. You want to work out. You enjoy those different things. So what does that work-life balance look like for you? Does that company offer vacation time? Some companies these days don't have vacation time at all. They just allow you to take off work if you do your job. So you want to understand, what does that look like and what's that flexibility for you? I think the other thing that you have to be prepared for is, what is that company's culture? Does that company's culture match your morals, your personal vision, the things that you think are great? I always tell people, go look at the top. Go look at my C-suite. And those are the things that make me proud of working for the company that I work for, because the top, I see representation, and that's something that's important for me. And so I want to know, what is their whole long-term strategy for people that maybe look like me, or for just their employees in general. Those are some things that's important to me. So establish what's important to you. Maybe along those lines, it's the location, it's the commute. A lot of companies are going back to in-office. So do you have the option to be hybrid? If you are taking care of someone or want that good work-life balance, what is your options or opportunity to go to volunteer or be in the office? What are those requirements? And then also, what's that company's stability and reputation? You know, you probably heard a lot about corporate social responsibility? What do they look like in the media? Yes, we are in industry, right? But in my case, you know, my company makes plastic, but we know there's a negative connotation around plastic waste, that kind of thing. But is that company making biodegradable plastic? What kind of work are they doing to really help our environment if that's something that's important to you? So what does that reputation look like, and how stable are they within the market space? A couple of other things I want you to think about is, do you have a contract term? How long, if you're a contract worker, or how long will it take? Do you have to be enrolled to perform or do a good job? So you need to know those aspects, and how long is that contract? What happens when that contract is up? Or are you not binded by a contract? So I think that's also important. And I touched on it earlier, but again, does it really match your personal goals, you being able to go work for this company? Yes, this company may be offering you a high-paying job, a nice figure, but do you really want to go work for a company that really doesn't match the things that really add value to your life, or the things that you're passionate about doing or not doing? And so the last thing I really want to talk to you about is really, what does negotiating look like for you? Again, I go back to, you are the prize. Do your market data, understand what's consistent in the, I would consider, pricing for that company, and then go ahead and say, well, I personally feel like I deserve this. Now, you're not going to say I deserve this, but you're going to ask, I would like to ask for this amount because I have this amount of experience, these skills, and all these capabilities that you asked for, and I understand that you're one of your competitors may be paying this based on market. Do you think I can have this, right? Or maybe it's not the salary we're negotiating, maybe it's more vacation time, maybe it is a hybrid work office. Be able to negotiate different things other than just your salary. And the last thing I'll leave you with is, seek some good advice. Like I said, our families may give us the advice to not to push the envelope, but you may have a mentor, a colleague, you know, maybe someone else within the space of where you're maybe doing an internship, or someone that you trust to say, look, here's some things I'm looking at with this company. What do you suggest? And does it make sense for me in my life right now? So that's it, Prince. That's all I'll leave them with.
That was phenomenal. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Taesia. 2 points I want to say to that as well. One is just a reflection of my life. So do not be afraid to not accept the first offer. Just hear me out. There's a background with that. And understand the industry that you're in. So I had an offer from Ford Motor Company many, many moons ago. I'm old. So, and they offered me like $68,000. I was like, oh, I made it, you know, because I was only making like $7 at Sports Authority. So, but when I got the offer from BP, they gave me 72. And so I'm like, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to lose this offer. Oh my goodness. But a mentor was like, it's okay. Just ask them. The worst they can say is no. I went back, asked for it. Like, hey, I already have another offer on the table. They offered me 72. The cost of living is different. At the time, there was a website called costoflivingcalculator.com. So I'm like, can y'all match 72 or give me more to offset Michigan being higher than Texas? So they matched the 72. And when I asked, could they do a cost of living further adjustment, they were like, no. But I had to understand the industry. Ford Motor Company was automotive. So they're like, we're not financially lucrative like oil and gas. We cannot do that. And so I ended up going to BP, but it worked out anyways, because going back to what Taesia talked about, financial stability, the year I hired on with BP, automotive industry took a dip and Ford laid off 25,000 people. So I would have uprooted my life to go to Florida all the way to Michigan just to come back home to my single parent household mom with 3 other kids. Hey, your baby boy, your firstborn child is unemployed. So those are 2 things: understanding the industry, and don't be afraid to say, hey, is there any wiggle room in this offer that you're extending to me? Anybody on the panelists wants to add to that or additional comments? Taesia, anything on that? Oh, Jakell is gonna say something.
Brought us some good topics around negotiating other things outside of salary. To add to your vacation time, you can negotiate a signing bonus or relocation costs. Most of you are in different areas at your university. That doesn't mean you want to stay there and work. A lot of companies have relocation costs for early career graduates. It may not be a lot, but it's enough. It's more than nothing. So ask and inquire about that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, team. So we had a lot of offers on the table. You know, we flipped some coins, we did some research, we chose our offer, and so now we have a young man who's going to tell us, how do we make an impact? How do we create raving fans like Ken Blanchard in the 90 days? How do we set up our brand to excel beyond all the other new hires? So Jason's going to take over this segment of the discussion.
Sure. Yeah.
Jason.
Thanks so much. One second. Super awkward. 1 second. The ladies trying to come in the hotel room. 1 second.
They just wanted to be clean.
Well, we
Okay,
got
so
one quick commercial break then. I just want to make sure that,
Now I'm
all
back.
right, there we
Of
go.
course,
Hey,
she comes
Jason.
right there, right when it's my turn. So 1 point. Thanks, everybody. Let me just one comment from the last segment. I think that I'll just use what the colleague said. 6872. What is also very important when you're negotiating, not just the total package, as they said, compensation wise, even the 401k, because you have to invest in your future too. And I know the first thing we think about is who's going to pay more. Let me use my real example. I was thinking, okay, company one pays this, and if company two pays $5,000 more, that's the one I'm going to. But look at that total offer, because I'm telling you that 401k compounded interest is your friend. So please Google that. And if somebody is offering you a 2-to-1 match, that may be better off than the $5,000 you get. And the other part I would say is you also have to a little bit, go with your gut feel. If somebody is going to put more in your development, that can be worth much more than a $5,000 difference on day one. Now, of course, y'all thinking, no, I want the 5,000. I was thinking that too when I was there, and it'll manifest itself later with you. But trust me, where you're going to get the development. So now it's my point again, anchor leg. Now you're at the job, and it's, well, what do you do? So you've heard about preparing. I like that. Colleague talked about preparing for an interview. Only thing I would add there is for publicly traded companies, please go to the website, go to investor relations, listen to the last 2 or 3 quarter reports. You will hear what the C-suite is talking about. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? And this will make a difference when you come into. That's different than just going to the website and learning the products. Hear what the CEO was talking about, the CFO was talking about. That's in publicly traded companies. In terms of negotiating your offers, and I just gave my feedback on it. I thought the colleagues gave you very, very good advice. Now for me, now you're on the job. And some people say, okay, I'm nervous because I was always in school. Well, what do I do when I get there? I don't know anything. First, that's normal. If you're taking a job where you don't have some butterflies in your stomach, it's probably not a big enough stretch for you. And that's not just your first job. That's all the jobs that you would take in your career. Every job I've went into, I had a little bit of nervousness. But what do I believe that we look for? And just again, so you can understand my role, because I think earlier I didn't say it. So I have responsibility for our performance materials business for North America, or I'm the senior vice president for that business. So I've been in 3 major industries within BASF: the agriculture industry, the personal care or cosmetics industry, so all your makeup and your hair and your body wash. And now I'm in the materials business. So think about selling to construction companies, the auto industry, the Nike Boost from Adidas. When you see Adidas, you see the Boost. The Boost technology is coming from BASF. So just so you can understand. What do we expect, or what do I expect when people hit the ground running? What do I think the people who do the best and who are preparing? First, I always say you have to become a student of the business, right? Learn your products. If you're in a commercial facing role, learn your products. What are your products? What are the advantages? What are the benefits? Where are you better or even sometimes behind your competition? Learn your competition's products. If you're in a customer facing role, forecast. Know your forecast better than anybody else. It always makes you sound very intelligent, right? I think when your boss, when you have that initial conversation, I think a colleague said it early, be very clear what is expected from you. Asking them, what do they consider success to look like, right? And how will you measure that along the way? And I would be very careful starting a new role of making too long-term goals. So 6 months or a year out, I'd want to check with my leader within, 3 months. How's it going? Where do I need to correct? Am I on task? Am I meeting your expectations or not? And if somebody says, well, maybe, and if you're in a function, so you're not in a customer facing role, I think it's really important to understand the business that you're supporting, whether you're in HR, whether you're in finance, whether you're in supply chain, understand what are the challenges they face. And also, I talked about that in preparing by going to investor relations and listening to the CEO. You can do that once you're in the job too. Always know what is going on each quarter. I think this is really where you can differentiate yourself. And I tell you, people that we interview and people who show up, I can see the difference in them. They really prepare. Now, the other question that sometimes people ask me is, well, how do I get feedback if I'm doing well or not? And I think that, it's always a balance, because you don't want to be too needy, that every week you're asking, did I do that right? Did I do that? You have to have confidence in yourself. So you need to talk to your boss and say, okay, hey, I worked on project X and I would welcome feedback from you. I give you another thing to be very careful about, and it's probably going to be different than what everything other people have told you. Mentor versus a coach when you arrive. A lot of people run up to me, they don't know me, they just look at my title and they say, oh, will you be my mentor? I can tell you, sometimes this is annoying. I know that's not what you've heard, but this is annoying sometimes, because I don't know you, you don't know me, you just got here. So what is, I think, more advisable is to say, hey, Prince, how you doing? I saw your presentation the other day. Do you mind if I put 30 minutes on your calendar just to follow up, as I have some additional questions? Now you got that person one-on-one and you can build a relationship. Don't ask them right then, will you be my mentor? What I would do if I got there, I would say, I really enjoyed this discussion, Prince. Do you mind if in 6 months I follow up with you again? You're getting exactly that, but you're not looking like you're coming right through the door. And that's kind of a mentor relationship. I think now what I call a coach, and I separate them. A coach is somebody maybe not in a role like me, but it's a little bit closer to what you are doing day to day. That might be someone on your team who's more senior. In your initial part of your career, this is more important even than the mentorship. Having that coach that you can go and ask, what is this term? I don't know what this means. If you're in a finance area and you say, okay, we're talking about, in your accounting classes, you learn about sales, gross margin, profit. But when you get into companies, we have very different terms. We use things like market profit, where those are very internal. Each company has its own jargon. You need somebody you can go to in a safe place and ask him or her, what does that mean? What did I do? I would go to meetings and I would write down, acronyms on the side of the paper. I would write down things people said. And then I would go to whoever I asked to be my coach, usually somebody who's more senior on my team or an adjacent team, and say, hey, once a week, can I follow up with you? I was in this meeting earlier and they were talking about X, Y, Z. What did they mean there? It needs to be a safe place. I can tell you this will pay dividends, because then you take what you heard from there. And then when you do get a mentor, you have something to talk about. So I'm not against mentorship. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression, but it's much better when you can go to somebody and you have something to talk about and get mentored on. So try to be in that company for 3 to 6 months, focus on the coach, and then move to the mentor. And then one other thing is that people say, say, what happens if things are going wrong? And you feel like maybe that you have gaps in your performance. Feedback is a gift. So I always would say to a person, to my boss, I saw my performance on this level. I'd like to get feedback from you, how you see it. And if we have any gaps, how can we close those gaps? So making that a partnership. I think if you do those things, you'll do well. And my last thing to let you know, remember, everybody wants to play in the Super Bowl, but the way to get to the Super Bowl is to win games as you go along. So do the best job you can in the job you're in, and that will lead to your next job and your next job and your next job. Those are my thoughts.
Fire. Outstanding, sir. Outstanding. Drop the mic on that one. So team, we just got you there. You finished your first quarter at your new job. We know we loaded you with a lot of input and suggestions. So now we're opening up the floor for any questions, comments, thoughts that you want us to follow up on. If I don't get a response in 15 seconds, I will start calling people out. It's just the way I am. Courtney Young, I'm looking at you right now. I don't even know if you're actually paying attention on the call, but I see your picture. So let's see, we got Courtney, we got a Tyler Scott, and I'm giving y'all 15 seconds. So Tyron Turner on here.
Don't be shy, scholars. If you could, please turn on your cameras when you ask questions, if you can. If you're in an environment where you can turn on your camera. If you can't, please raise your hand just like Isaac just did there, or
Oh,
drop
Isaac
a
saved
question
Courtney.
in the chat.
All right,
We
go
see
Isaac.
Isaac, Jordan. Yeah, there's a couple people there.
Go ahead, Isaac.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can see you
All
and
right.
hear you.
Hello. I'm actually studying right now. But so my question was, when you're looking at jobs and you're looking to get into some sort of corporation, is it better to try and cement your brand first, or does that come, or cement your, how do I want to say this? Okay, cement, is it better to go for a brand first or to try and show how hard you work first, or do those kind of go hand in hand?
So I'm gonna need a little bit of clarity on the brand. Are you saying your own personal brand, like
Like
Isaac's
your
brand?
brand yes, within the company.
Oh, you're
Does
already
that,
working there. So you already started?
yeah, like so you just
Listen,
started and then like you
Oh,
go to
I give
build
you
the
my,
brand
my
first.
perspective on it. It's very simple.
Okay.
The quicker you hit the ground running, the more people will notice you, and that will set up. So if I had a choice between job A, that I could hit the ground running and really make an impact, and job B, that was going to take me a much longer, I would take the job A because I can hit the ground running. And in terms of your brand, I think that it's more about be authentic to yourself, right? Be credible. If you are credible, this is going to build your brand. If you're authentic, if you're credible, and then if you're humble, right? Never thinking that you're smarter than anybody. It's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most effective person in the room. That is what builds your brand. So continuing to deliver, but more that you can hit the ground running and whatever it is, I think that's the builder, and having credibility.
great response, Jason. Great response. Thank you for that. So we have Adrian, do you see any other hands up?
Can I
Yes,
add
we
to
have,
that too?
Oh
we
yeah, go
have
ahead, young lady.
Jordan, and it sounds like Jakell wants to add. Okay.
Yeah, that the working hard, that does get you noticed, but realizing the help on the while you're working hard too, building those relationships as well, and realizing your building a network within your company too. Most of my opportunities, or I like to call people sponsors, because they're not a mentor, they're not a coach, they're the person that's talking about you. It's on a TED Talk. When you're not in those rooms, came from those relationships that I've built.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, most of the people on this call, I'm just going to say probably 9 out of 10 people on this call, if not more than 9 out of 10, you aren't inventing anything. Why do I say that? If we don't see you, your impact is going to be negligible. You know, it's what's called chair engineering. If people in the field is like, here, where is Isaac? Or hey, have y'all seen Isaac today? Who is Isaac? We had an engineer this whole time in our unit. So, you know, you need to be out and about. And that's the whole cross team collaboration. It's not just your team, it's other departments. Do they know who you are? Do they see you regularly? Do they feel like you actually are a part of the team? That's how you're solidifying your brand. And I forgot the person's name. I think it was Jordan. Yeah, man. Unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing such wonderful wisdom with us today. I really appreciate it. To introduce myself, my name is Jordan Sexton. I am a sophomore physics major here at Howard University. And I wanted to ask, are there any red flags that we should look out for when selecting an entry-level position?
I would start off with a question first. And you can ask this of any position, whether it's entry level or executive level. Find out why it's open. You can always find out a lot about a team or a culture. You can even probably Google or go to the website to see how many times it's been posted as well. So if it's a revolving door in a certain department, then that could be a culture fit issue, and not the work. It typically is never the work is too hard for you. It's usually that culture and that environment that you're walking into. And sometimes maybe you can take it as a challenge, but just at least you know walking into it.
Excellent response. Yeah, attrition is normally tied to a leader or one who thinks they're a leader, but they're just not effective as a leader. So that could be, yeah, you could say, hey, this is a person I probably don't want to work with. So good point. Okay, we got some more hands, or am I gonna start going back to people?
We do not
Courtney,
have any hands right now. I just put a note in the chat asking scholars to not be shy, raise your hand. This is not just for people starting full-time jobs. There's a lot of folks that are getting started with co-ops and internships this summer too. So if you have questions about that, please ask away. But we have Leah Wilson here. So here's your next question, Prince.
and then I'm gonna pass it over to Jennifer Taylor afterwards. I see you, Jennifer. So get your question ready. After, so after this question, Jennifer, you're on the spot. All right, go ahead. Floor is open.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Leah Wilson. I am a senior chemical engineering student from North Carolina A&T State University. I'm really excited to be here today as the graduating class, so thank you guys for putting this on. I guess my question is kind of for the industry professionals, like what is something that you think was important that you did in your early career that helped you like kind of build to where you are now? I don't know if you remember anything specifically, but like, you know, anything that helped you to stand out or maybe like in a good way, obviously. And yeah, and I kind of did have a second question as well.
Okay, so for me, mine is building relationships. Social, I'm a very social person, but I've chose to leverage that to progress my career. And what I mean is, put in the chat, there's a book called Raven Fans by Ken Blanchard. So I make sure that I establish great rapport with other people outside of my department because at the end of the year, they're going to do a 360-degree review assessment. My manager can't be everywhere. So, okay, let me talk to maintenance, let me talk to operations, let me talk to environmental, let me talk to procurement, let me talk to all these people. How do you feel about Prince? One of my cohorts is on a call, Tofi Beta. She's with University of Recruiting. So, by making sure that I excel when they ask a request of me, it's like now they're my champions. They're making sure to promote me. And then if someone gives me a verbal commendation, hey, Prince, you did a great job. My mentor taught me this years ago. First thing I say, hey, Leah, thank you so much for that. But can you do me a favor? Can you email my boss what value I brought to you and just CC me on it? Because people tend to forget. It's a long year. Your manager may have 75 people. But at the end of the year, I have documentation. Leah said I did this. Jennifer said I did that. Adrian said I did this. So now I don't get a meets expectation at the end of the year for my review. I get an exceeds expectation, which results to what? More bonus, a higher salary when we get the increase. So it's all about an end game. It's not all about money, but my wife likes that I bring home money. So I try to maximize how much money I bring. All right. So next question, Leah, then we'll move over to Jennifer.
I guess my question is kind of more regarding what the job market looks like now in this like day and age and kind of climate with the decrease in DEI. Have you guys noticed like changes in your workforce and maybe I guess for the HR and university recruiters, like what does that look like for you? I'm just a bit curious about it. I know it doesn't really pertain to what the panel is about, but
So I'm going to selfishly take a little bit and pull Tofi in because Tofi is actually my university recruiter. And we recently had a session with our CEO where he was like, I know external things are happening, but at LyondellBasell, we're still focusing on DEI. Tofi, you want to say anything more to that?
Hello. I was not expecting to speak today, but I can definitely join in and share. So as Prince mentioned, at LyondellBasell specifically, it has not impacted anything that we do. It's ingrained in our values, in our culture. It's how we operate. It's how we, work with each other. It's how we manage our teams, inclusion, and everything else. So from the LyondellBasell perspective, we haven't changed. It hasn't impacted anything that we do in regards to our day-to-day. We continue to stay true to who we are and continue to have diversity, equity, and inclusion embedded in our values.
Thank you, young lady. Jakell, I think you were saying something.
Taesia was next, and I'll
Oh,
go.
I'm sorry, Taesia. Go,
No,
Taesia.
no, it's okay. So same here, right? Our CEO has said the same thing. Part of our mission is protecting our planet, but then also our people come first. And so for us, that's at our core, and we've been doing this. I always say this isn't new to us, it's true to us. And so we've been doing this pre-2020, right? We've been doing this for 20-30 years, and so we haven't changed a thing as well. We just our strategies are still the same. So that's what makes me happy. We haven't changed anything. So
very similar to Dow, Lubrizol has had we call ERGs, we love our acronyms, employee resource groups, and they've been around for years. So what you may see in the industries is a shift of titles, but what you want to look for is the culture still the same? Is the culture still inviting? Is there still resources available? That doesn't mean that the term DE&I may not get stripped away, because it probably will, but at the core value, at the base, are they still a resource? Are they still supportive? And is it still some place that you can see yourself aligning to?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Jennifer,
Thank you,
we've given
guys.
you plenty of time for your question, young lady. So I need you to unmute yourself and let's get going.
I want to interrupt really quickly before we get to Jennifer. We have two scholar questions in the chat, but Jennifer, please go ahead. And I just want to make sure we get to those scholar
Yes, ma'am.
questions.
I answered one of them, but after Jennifer's done, I'll make sure to make them public. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, AJ. Have my back. Jennifer, we'll wait on you, young lady.
Well, thank you. My name is Jennifer Taylor. I work at the American Chemistry Council. And I guess my question would be, for the panel, what kind of questions do you recommend that, or how do you recommend that scholars take advantage or leverage their relationship with their mentors and corporate sponsors?
I think a big thing for me is, so I've always been the person to lead the conversation with my personal mentor, but from an HR perspective, that has always been something that we've told employees, is that you own your own development, you own your own career. And so always go into those meetings, into whatever, just being prepared, right? You want to know their career trajectory, what they've done, how do they anticipate navigating just the company culture, projects, that kind of thing. I think it's important that students understand that you're not always going to know all the answers, right? And you're not always going to be perfect. But I think Jakell talked a lot about building relationships, and I think Prince did as well. But you have to learn how to navigate those relationships and navigate them strategically, and how do they make sense within your space. And so then you can go back to your mentor and say, hey, I met this person and they seem really good in this. How do you feel about this, or whatever the case is? So knowing who can strategically help you align your development, or align your training, or align your personal even development within those relationships you built, and ask your mentor to kind of help you navigate that strategically, is going to be instrumental in your career.
And you won't always recognize how somebody can help you right away. And that's why those relationships, it's a slow burn. It's for the long haul. I was just at an international women's event on last Friday, and it says, if you're reaching out for the first time to someone to ask them for a favor, that's the wrong timing. That shouldn't be your first time reaching out to someone. So there's not going to be a quick return on investment on some of these relationships. And I keep going back to ERGs, those employee resource groups. I meet people on their personal level and really understanding how we connect and what I can learn from them, what they can learn from me, and build those natural relationships. And then you have those aha moments. You work together on a project like a year down the line, 6 months down the line, and then you start to see how their experience can help you and really truly build on that on the professional side afterwards.
I would like to just add here, the word I heard, probably the best word I heard today is being prepared. And I think where people, you know, I mentor quite, you can imagine, a lot of people, but I really respect when they come prepared. So, hey, 2 days in advance, Jason, I would like to talk to you about topic X, right? And, you know, if you're meeting somebody, we call them get-to-knows in BASF, when you're having a get-to-know with somebody, whether they want it or not, to make a nice little one-pager that you can send to them 48 hours. I think I gave this advice once. No, Chantel, there's somebody from BASF on the line. Chantel, I think I gave this in our ERG group. And I was last year, I told them, guys, you send 48 hours in advance, just a one-pager. First of all, it will help guide the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And it allows a person like me to be prepared because you did the work. And I already start thinking, okay, this person's ahead of the game. They're on top of things. And the conversation will go much more fluid. So start a little bit more formal, and then it will get informal as you build the relationship. But I would always be prepared. There's always going to be people smarter than you, right? You'll be smarter than some people, but nobody's going to out-prepare me, right? So I would say be prepared. That's whether it's an interview, whether it's when you get the job, when you're on the job, being prepared matters, because that, you don't have to be the smartest person. Doesn't matter what school you went to, you own that. And that's what I think. And then I want to, just one other thing, we have to be very careful. Every mentorship does not lead to your next job. It prepares you for your next job. There's a difference, all right? So because I'm your mentor does not mean I'm going to promote you to a director in 1 year. Hopefully I'm helping you to prepare so that when you compete for those director jobs, you will have seen things, because I believe in mentoring by using real situations. I don't like these, those books, the 10 ways to be a great leader and every way is a chapter. That's not me. I like here's what I'm dealing with, and I like to share them. I changed the names, obviously. Here's something we dealt with last year. How would you have gone through that, Adrian? What would you have said? Would you have taken a similar approach? It's not about having the wrong answer. It's just that you learn to think. You are preparing. So I think preparation is huge.
Outstanding, Jason. Outstanding. I know we have these 2 questions left as we're wrapping up. At Lyondell, I use the term post checks. Jason, he has his terms at his. I tell my mentees, every meeting you go into, because I'm a stickler for time, and time is valuable to me, I guess because I'm just getting older, have 1 or 2 things that you want that person to take away from that session, and 1 or 2 things that you want to gain from that session. That automatically puts structure around your meeting. It goes hand in hand with what Jason is saying earlier. So as I'm drafting up my list or my expectations, I'm about to meet with Jason on Thursday. Okay, when I leave this, here are 1 or 2 things that I'm going to put in Jason's lap or in his mind, because I need to grow in these areas. I need a support to make this task work. And then the 1 or 2 things I need to let him know of, I'm working on X and Y. So make sure you start having that breakdown of that mentality of when you're working with people. So I know we have 2 questions. One I did publicly. It talked about, hey, Prince, if I'm rejected in an interview, is it a good deal to ask for feedback? I said a quick statement of most definitely you can't improve what you don't measure. So, and then someone else said advocate for specific feedback, because we need to know are my responses have lack of clarity, or am I showing that I'm not confident in the way that I present myself? Maybe I was late for the meeting, and that was a whole turnoff right there. Like, look, you're not punctual, and we don't want to work with somebody else on that team. So I think it's great. Don't be so sensitive when you hear back from it, because Jim Rohn talks about take the fruit and then take the nut and throw away the shell. So some things may not always make you feel good, but it's for your benefit to actually enhance you. I want to say to that one. And then we had another question.
1 second, Prince. And
Yeah,
Taesia
yes,
jump
ma'am. Do your
into.
thing.
I want to throw on that HR hat though. So don't be shocked if it's vague feedback
Oh, gotcha. Yes,
because we
ma'am.
can't always give into details and specifics. So if someone does give you some good details, appreciate it, because a lot of times we can't give a lot of detailed feedback for legal reasons. That's my TED Talk.
Outstanding. No, no,
So
no. Yes,
Jakell,
ma'am.
that's good. Yes, that's good.
Adrian, where's the other question? I can't find it. I'm
Oh,
going through
no
the.
worries. I'll read it out for you.
Hey,
Okay.
excuse me, before we move on, can she elaborate on that a little bit? Because I understand HR has legal reasons for not giving feedback, but unfortunately, I think sometimes our interns are looking for something that can help them. So it's not to violate any kind of legal rules. So I understand the legal ramifications, but talk about something that is okay in terms of specific feedback. Because if a person interviews and they say, well, you didn't have as much experience, that's too broad.
Yeah, and I will say we don't, for student opportunities, not for full time. We never say you didn't have enough experience because we don't require experience for an internship or a co-op. That's what you're coming to us for. It could be what we'll do is, or what you could ask for, what can I work on if I got another opportunity to interview?
Okay.
And that will get you, hey, maybe you can pull in more examples from your projects. You gave one word answers. And that's how you can get more details from them and to build on that experience. And it could just be logistics. Like for us, you have to be in a certain year and be able to co-op so many terms. So if it's something you can't control, then we'll say that, like, but if we get an internship that comes around, I'll definitely reach back out to you. If it was something, and so using those open-ended questions, because you can keep reapplying and we'll still, if you're qualified, we'll push you through. So I think that specific question, what can I do to move further the next time if I reapply, that will get you some actual feedback.
Yeah, one thing I've seen that, just be honest, when I sat through sessions, what was pretty annoying, they're just using the same project for every question. It's like, okay, I'm pretty sure you did more than one project, but you ask a different question, and if it's the same project, like, okay, I can say it now verbatim because I heard it this whole interview. So that could be like, hey, is your experience really, in depth as you share? No, great point. Great point. Second question. My question goes for everyone, and I was wondering, how can you be confident going into a new job and getting used to the job's cultures? That's really two questions, not one. That's just me being nitpicky. But so you actually have. I like to believe success builds upon success. One reason why I run a marathon every quarter is because when I'm dealing with a tough presentation with the CEO or the senior vice president, or I have to build up something from grassroots, from scratch, I'm like, well, you can't complete a marathon haphazardly. It takes a lot of diligence and follow through. So this is a small thing for me. And what I mean by saying that is, you have a lot of experiences. Some people were on the, homecoming committee. Some people are holding chairs in organizations. Some people, which remember when I was in college, my professor was like, look, one of our classmates, he's working 40 hours a week and getting his engineering degree. That alone, if you can maintain that, that shows that you have the tenacity and you have the wherewithal to focus on success. So it doesn't have to be just because you're entering a new company. I've never did transmissions before at Ford Motor Company. You have other areas that you could draw upon that success to show that, hey, I'm prepared and I'm qualified for this. Anybody else want to speak on that or speak on the second part of getting used to the job's culture?
I'll do the second part. I've mentioned this before. Those employee resource groups it's unlimited of how you can make connections, learn and meet different people that aren't in your department. The 4 years I've been at Lubrizol, most of my connections have come from not just the employee resource groups that I align with. So not just the Lubrizol People of African Diaspora or Women in Leadership. I joined APRG, so our Asia Pacific Resource Group, our Latinx resource group. mill vets. So for our veterans, I reach out to the other orgs that do not align to, or I don't have a lot of knowledge in, and those connections have been impeccable, and they continue to give. There's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, ma'am.
And Jakell, you end up learning, right, and getting to know all these other people that helps you be able to build your network within that. One of the things that I was gonna say is, and I don't know if this group is too young to know, but one in Rome, we do, right? So pay attention to the culture as you get immersed in that culture, and pay attention to what's going on, maybe who's loud, who's quiet, how do they maneuver during meetings, and then don't lose your authenticity, don't lose yourself, but be able to start kind of getting yourself acclimated into that culture. But I will tell you, if everyone is going out to dinner for such and such's birthday, make sure you're probably going out to dinner here and there. It doesn't have to be every time. If they're going out to play golf or fishing or whatever it is, even though you are not interested in what it is that they're doing, you need to have some kind of outside connection to your work group if that's established, again, and within your morals and within the things that where you feel comfortable staying professional. Let me also add that caveat, but that's a good way for you to get to know other people, build those relationships, and your name is starting to get said or talked about in other rooms as they got to know more about you outside of the office. So
and if you have a remote job, so if you our IT folks on here, you probably have the privilege to still be remote. Even some people in talent acquisition and HR, if they have a company picnic or a company gathering, a holiday gathering, go to them. That's another. You want to be seen, you want to be noticed, and you want the name to align with the face.
All right. No, great points. All right, team. My boss, Adrian, says we're short for time. I don't feel like getting fired today. So we're going to pass it back over to her for closing thoughts, and then we're going to take a group photo. But this has been a very rich discussion. Thank you so much, team, for being transparent and open, and for all of our FOSSI attendees to ask questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Prince. You've done an excellent job. All of you have. Jason, Jakell, Taesia, thank you so much. Thank you to all of our sponsors that are on the call. Thank you to the HBCU Week Foundation. Just everybody, I appreciate everyone being here. We want to do a couple things. One, I just have an announcement for my seniors that are still, my graduating seniors that are still on the call. I know that you all have senioritis. You are ready to graduate. It's time to just leave the books behind and just start working and making money. We still need you to be responsive to our emails that we will be sending. We're collecting information. We need to know what your plans are after graduation. Are you going to getting a job? Are you going to grad school? Are you going to travel the world for a year? We just need to know a little bit about what you're doing. So please expect an email from me. Probably multiple emails from me, just trying to capture this information before you just get too far away from us. We're creating a kind of an alumni program called the FOSSI Ambassadors Program. So I would love for all of you graduating seniors to be a part of that. So please look out for emails from me, answer them, respond. I will call you, I will text you if I don't hear from you. So just please stay in touch just a little while longer. And then one last thing that we want to do, Sandra, are you ready? I would love for us to all take a quick group photo. Let me unpin everyone that I have here so that we can get the right image or whatever we need to do. Sandra, I think you might have that together. So please turn on your cameras. Those of you all that are still here, a lovely coworker of mine and colleague is going to take a screenshot of all of us. So Sandra, if you can unmute, like give us a 3, 2, 1 or something to let us know.
But I'm not seeing the gallery view.
I'm seeing the gallery view.
Huh.
I'm not.
Okay, we'll just do it. Yeah. Use your settings to let's do it. That's fine, right?
Are you gonna do it, Sandra, or me?
Yeah. 3,
Okay.
2, 1. Done.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for one last time, I'm going to go ahead and play our video again, honoring our graduating senior scholars for those of you who missed it. So as you leave, you can watch this and enjoy.
All right, team, have a great week. Good seeing y'all.
Are you still here?
Thank you so much. I hope y'all enjoyed that.
Yes, we did. Outstanding.
Congrats, everyone. Bye.
Hope you have a great